I'm thrilled that it's Friday and that it's time to introduce Dr. Jonathan Tarbox. He's with us once again, and you are the head of research and development here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders.
That's
and
correct.
You are also the director of the Autism Research Group, an amazing organization that is asking parents what they would like research done on.
That's correct, yeah.
I gotta say, I love that. I think that's an absolutely brilliant thing, a thing that's time has come. We've been talking a lot about research studies, and maybe later on in the show we'll have a time to talk about that. But you sent me a couple of really exciting things this week that I don't even know that you necessarily meant for us to talk about them on the show, but
just like to pass things on.
Yeah, but they were really cool things, and I'd like to bring them up. In fact, this first one you sent, it's that somebody had passed off to you and said, you know, could be of use to people. Chuck E. Cheese, the restaurant that we're all
way too familiar with.
Yes, I was going to say more familiar than we'd like to be with. That is kind of an interactive experience for kids and can be a little bit of a sensory nightmare, but a lot of kids find it really, really reinforcing to go there. Yep. Chuck E. Cheese has done this very brilliant thing and offered free reinforcement calendars that are on a host of different topics. We have one here to show you that I chose this one just because I thought it was something that is most conducive to our kids, because there are a lot of strange topics that they cover, but it's a good eater, try new food calendar. All of them cover 2 weeks, and basically what it would be for this particular one is setting the parameters, saying if you try a new food once or twice or whatever the criteria is, I'll put my initials in here for every day in the 2 weeks, and then when it's done and filled in, the child gets to turn it into Chuck E. Cheese for 10 tokens, which is kind of cool that they're doing that. And now there is an asterisk here that it has to be at a participating one, so check before you do this and print this out, check that your Chuck E. Cheese is participating. We have the link to find all of these up on our Facebook page right now, and you're seeing it also on the screen in front of you. They do require you to make a food purchase, and I don't know whether it's a drink counts or what, but and it does expire at the end of this year. But there are a whole bunch of these charts available. There's even sports ones. There's one for nose picking. I mean, it's a random array of things.
And of course, you know, Chuck E. Cheese has a vested interest in this. They want to get your family in there to buy pizza and play video games and everything else. But it's nice when a marketing tactic actually has some benefit and use for families too. So
I have to say, I mean, it's kind of brilliant, and maybe more and more people will see the benefit of reinforcement.
Right, and you know what's interesting about we're always sort of battling these myths about ABA and ABA procedures, and the common myth is positive reinforcement has to be contrived, or token systems have to be really artificial and really, like, oh, good job, here's your M&M, or here's your penny or your poker chip for your tokens. Well, this is a token system. Most people wouldn't think of it that way, but it is. It's, there's something that a kid earns each day that in itself has no value, except that after you get enough of them, you trade them in for something that does have value. Right? That's the essence of a token system. So, a kid has an opportunity to then go and do something in the community with peers and with other folks in the community that they actually value, and that will be a powerful motivator, if the kid's ready for that and has enough verbal behavior and everything else for it to work. But yeah, it's nice. It's just basically another way to sort of build a reinforcement system into more of an everyday community activity.
Absolutely. And we've started offering templates here on the show for different kinds of things. We have the bedtime pass here, that if you guys still want your version of the bedtime pass, it's just a template, and all you have to do is cut it out. You don't have to laminate it like we did. I just love to laminate everything. It's a craft project. It's a little break from reality for me. It's a good thing. But this has been working really well in my house. I will say that we had a little extinction burst the other night with this. So we had the behavior that we weren't wanting to see happen extra, and once we weathered it, it's been clear sailing ever since and been lovely.
And that's what you will always see with extinction bursts. by definition, they go away. They don't stick around. So.
Yeah, and it was horrible. Can I tell you, it was horrible. And I want to say that because whenever people talk about things being put on extinction, I remember once my husband and I really got what that meant, and it took us a while. But once we got what it meant, we would always go, because we would know there was going to be a difficult moment.
And unfortunately, that's how you kind of know you're doing it right. Is if it doesn't feel right to you. I mean, it shouldn't feel right to you as a parent to not give your kid what they want.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, you're a parent, you care about them, you care about their feelings, you want to nurture them. So you want to give your kid what they want.
Yeah.
But when they're having a challenging behavior, or whatever the behavior is that you're trying to decrease and help them replace with a more appropriate alternative, but they're doing the inappropriate thing in the moment, that's when you don't want to give your kid what they want, or at least you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel right. I mean, you feel like a little part of you is dying inside. I mean,
or
you really
criminal.
honestly do.
It was
you
like
feel
pull
like a criminal.
pull the police car up and have me taken away, kind of thing. I mean, and to put it into context for you guys, if you don't know about the bedtime pass, and my son gets 3. This is what we thought would work for him. He gets 3 passes. Anything after, and we were very clear with him about, the lights are off now. You're on bedtime passes now. If you talk to us, if you get out of bed, if you turn on the light, you've got to turn in a pass first. And the first couple of nights, it was really textbook. The first couple of nights, it was brilliant, and he was so thrilled, and he didn't want to use any of them. And the behavior was nipped, and even my husband was saying, oh my gosh, can you imagine that this little thing could work this well, and we're not having to have conversations with him over and over and over and putting him back to bed. Fabulous, fabulous. And I knew it was coming. And we finally, I think it was the 4th night that we were using it, he blew through all 3 passes because he kind of, he's old enough. He wanted to see, where is this really going to go?
Sure,
what will really happen?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And
good
so
for him.
Right. A sign of intelligence as I'm, in bed crying because but I want you guys to know, this is what happened in our house. And so he blew through all 3 passes very quickly. And we had talked with Angela about that if he got past the 3 passes and was talking to us, that our plan for us in our house was we were going to turn off all the lights. We were going to go to bed, even if it was 8:15 for us. So there would be absolutely nothing to react to because he would come downstairs and watch us watching TV.
Right.
And I want to get into that with him.
Difficult to put that into extinction.
So we'd turn off all the lights, give him nothing to react to, go to bed. Well, I need my sleep, right? Go to bed, and eventually he'd go to sleep and I could get back up if I wanted to. Yeah. But, make everything in the house quiet so we were ready for this. And he started in, and my husband and I, all the lights are off, we go to bed, and he's in his room and crying in bed going, Mom, I need you to talk to me. Mom, why won't you answer me? Mom. No reaction until he went to sleep. And it took, Angela was asking me how long did it take. It took like 18 minutes for him to go to sleep.
Absolutely.
And I laid there in the bed thinking, let the police car come and take me. This is the worst night of my life, because you feel that way. And at one point my husband was like, my gosh, you are just so much better at this because he wasn't yelling Dad, he was yelling Mom, and he was like, I would be in there. And I said, no, I literally will sit on top of you. You're not going in there. We're not doing this.
Well, and an interesting thing there is people are more likely to give in when their child is labeled with a disability. And I don't know why that is, but and maybe there's an extra guilt factor for some reason, whatever it is. But your child understands the rules, and they're perfectly reasonable rules. You're not being mean. You're just saying you can only get out of bed 3 times. That's actually quite a bit still, right?
Yes,
it's not
it
like
is a lot.
You're reading a story, you're kissing him goodnight, you're doing all the things that are reasonable for a kid.
Right.
And he understands all that. He's got the verbal behavior to get it. He understands all that. And so with a typically developing kid, it would be perfectly reasonable, right? Like, these are the rules, kid. You got to live by the rules. It's our house, And yet, so often with a kid with a disability, we feel like there must be some other reason why we should feel worse about having high expectations. But of course, that's not the case. I mean, when you think about it, it's almost like reverse discrimination or something. Like we should feel more. But it's perfectly reasonable expectations. There's no reason why it'd be any different for a kid with autism or any other disability or typically developing kid.
Right.
Here's reasonable household expectations. We're going to stick by him.
I think my thing is I just hate for him to be in any kind of pain. I want to spare him that. It's not the best teaching tool, but I want to spare him that. But he did stop crying and he went to sleep. And now, and the next morning, he woke up and he said to me, I never want to be without a bedtime pass ever again. And I said, I never want you to be without a bedtime pass again.
So he's saving one now.
He's always, he rarely uses all 3. I need to ramp it down to 2, in fact, because he rarely, I think it was just the one night that he blew through all of them and then some. So, so extinction burst and not fun for me or my husband, but we got through it. But important to be able to use these things to get to the behaviors that we want, and sometimes that is what's needed.
And he's going to be proud of himself, in the future.
He is.
That's the thing. You have to look forward to the future. He's going to say, wow, I'm a big boy now. I can go to sleep by myself. I don't have to get out of... So it will pay off in the end.
And it's already paying off. I've had more sleep. So
good.
And also, quite honestly, because I've shared before on the show that I turn into a raving, horrible, screaming person, that it's not, if I get that tired and it's 10:30 and he's still getting up and wanting to talk to me, I've already gone to sleep and I'm like, everybody leave me alone.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not in control of myself.
Bad for everybody.
It's horrible. Yeah. I'm, like bad parent stamped on my forehead. I literally will say, everyone, leave me alone. I don't care. Burn the house down. I don't care. Which I don't mean, but I'm like half asleep. I'm irrational. We can't have that.